Everyone talks about hard work, talent, and luck, but there's one thing every successful person has to learn to master. This thing is so powerful and quietly separates the best from everyone else. And in this video, I'm gonna share what that is. And I'm also gonna give you a bonus thing as well that's just as important as the main thing I'm gonna talk about. Now, I'm gonna tell you this thing, but I want you to understand why this is the case more than anything. So the thing is the ability to handle uncomfortable emotions or negative emotions like stress, anxiety, judgment, right? Like not that judgment is an emotion, but they have the ability to be judged. They don't care. They care, but they're able to move forward. So let me explain to you why this is so important with successful people. Let's say you're running a business. You have to manage a lot of people. There's a lot of employees. The business could go down under, right? You can lose all of your money. You can get kicked out onto the street. All those things are possible when you're running a business. There's a lot of risk there. Some people are not going to be able to handle those uncomfortable emotions. They might not be able to sleep at night, not knowing exactly how much money they're making, not having an exact paycheck. It's just everything depends on the business. If it goes well, you make a lot of money. If it doesn't, then you might be on the streets, right? So if you want to be as successful as possible, you have to master that skill of learning how to really regulate your emotions, how to stay calm under pressure. Now listen, it's never going to be a perfect thing, okay? It's never going to be perfect, but you get better and better at this as to how do I stay calm even when my insides are wanting to explode. This is a skill to be practiced and mastered. And now I can tell you this from firsthand experience. I run a business too, and I play poker. It's a very stressful game. You know, you're winning and losing thousands per day, sometimes tens of thousands per day. So when you're doing something like that, you're gonna deal with some very uncomfortable emotions. If you've ever had a day where you've lost a lot of money, then you know what I'm talking about. And anybody that has a business has that, right? So there's gonna be some days where things go very poorly. Maybe one of your employees quits, or one of your biggest clients, or two of your biggest clients are like, hey, I found somebody else, I'm not working with you anymore. You're like, oh, you have to be able to deal with the emotional swings that come along with being a successful person. The more successful you are, the more money you have, the bigger your business, the more employees you have and stuff like that, the harder it is to handle these emotions. So this is something you want to start practicing early on in life if you can, where you can basically take the emotional brunt and take the hit and be able to handle it better than the people that are around you. Because most people in the world, when they feel some emotional uncomfortableness, if something doesn't feel good, they run away from that. They're like, how can I get the hell out of here? How can I just leave the situation? But the most successful people in this world, you gotta listen closely here. With everything in life, by the way, if something's going really poorly, they don't run away from it. They don't try to hide from it. So what do? That's the question. What do then? They stand their ground and they try to understand, what is it that's causing this emotion, and what can I do? What is in my power to fix this situation? What can I do? Because when you're running away from it, it's not fixing anything, guys. In fact, it's actively hurting because you're running away from it and you're resisting trying to feel this feeling. Anytime you resist trying to feel something, you feel it 5 times more. You can try to run away from it, like, oh, I need to get out of this feeling. I need to get away from this uncomfortable emotion. I need to go that way. I need to go over there. I promise you, that feeling is coming with you. But if you're actually a person that is not afraid of feeling uncomfortable emotions, you know that it's a part of being successful. You have to feel those things. So when you feel them, you're just like, here they are, and I'm gonna have to deal with it. Very difficult thing to do, guys, is to go towards that and be like, I know starting this business or getting into this high position job or whatever is gonna require a lot out of me. It's gonna require a lot of stress. It's gonna require a lot of emotional uncomfortableness. Now, this could be also with relationships too, guys. This is not only in the workforce, this is being successful in relationships too, right? You can't always run away from the problems. You kind of have to sit there and try to figure it out if you want a successful relationship. You have to sit there and try to figure it out instead of running away from it, because when you run away from it, it's always kind of lingering in the background, okay? It's always lingering there. The most successful people, they know this, they understand this on a deep level. That they know I have this position because I'm willing to deal with this shit. That's what they know, is that like those people in the higher up, like let's just say not business owners, but people that have like a high level job, like something really high level where they really have to work super hard to keep that job. They know the amount of emotional stress that comes along with that kind of stuff. It's taxing on your body and your mind, eats you up. And they know I have this position because these other people around me are not willing to deal with this. They're not able to handle it. So that's what it really comes down to. That's one of the biggest secrets of successful people. Any successful person you ask, find somebody in your life, a friend, a cousin, anyone that's successful, ask them, how hard was it during your journey? How much emotional uncomfortableness and stress did you go through for months or years, maybe even decades? Ask them. I guarantee you what their answer will be. They're gonna tell you it was the hardest shit I've ever dealt with in my life. But there's something that's even harder than that. And the one thing that's even harder than that is living with regret. So if you're young and you're watching this, the regrets of not pushing and not trying to make something of yourself is gonna be a heavier burden to carry than stepping into the fire and doing what you know you need to be doing to make yourself a success. It'll be, that route will be hard, but then you get to realize the fruits of your labor and you get to be proud of yourself. Like, I did that shit. But then the people on this side, they took the easier route. They took maybe the easier route and they're like, I don't want to deal with that stress. I don't want to deal with that stress. I'll run away from this. I'll run away from that. They have that lingering burden that they kind of have to deal with. So if you're young and you're watching this, try your best to learn and master this, where if you're feeling emotionally uncomfortable, try your best not to run away from this, guys. Try to run towards it. What is it that's making me feel emotionally uncomfortable, or negative emotions, or makes me feel like shit or whatever? And try to go into that and see, how can I go towards that as much as possible? Because that's where you're gonna find the best life, is if you go towards that. Because if you confront all the issues instead of running away from all the issues. There is the bonus thing that I told you I was gonna share with you guys at the end of this video, and here that is. And this is going away from a lot of the stuff we talked about in this video, because at a certain point, when you're successful, at a certain point, like at the beginning, there's a lot of growing pains. There's that growing pain that's there. It's painful. You're growing and you're like, this hurts, you know, this is a lot. This is, you know, I got to deal with people. I got to deal with myself. I got to deal with, you know, hoping I don't go broke at some point, you know, all those things are on the table. You have to deal with that stuff. But then you also get to a point where you know how to make the money, you know how to do it, and it starts to get really boring and repetitive. And you're like, I'm doing the same shit every single day and I'm making decent money, but it's like, it's really like exhausting on the soul. You're just like, all right, I'm doing the same thing every day. Like I wake up, you know, around the same time, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It starts to get boring. And the second thing that I'm going to tell you is that successful people, they show up even when it gets boring, guys. They don't care how bored they are. They get bored and they're like, I'm going to do the thing anyways. I don't give a shit. I'm going to get it done anyways. I'm going to work on my business anyways, even though it's boring now. I'm going to go to the gym anyways, even though it's boring now. I'm going to study and read the books anyways, even though it's boring at times. So you're not gonna always feel like doing the thing. You're not always gonna feel motivated. You're not always gonna be like, I wanna make, you know, the next bit of money or whatever. That feeling is definitely not always gonna be there, not even close, okay? But the successful people know in those moments where you're not feeling it, you have to show up anyways. You have to deal with the boredom. That's another emotion you gotta deal with, you know, when you're being successful. You gotta deal with the uncomfortable, all the uncomfortable emotions, the anxiety, the stress, the depression at times, right? Like any negative emotion that comes up, you have to kind of sit there and deal with it. And then you also got to deal with boredom. So that, in my opinion, is one of the biggest things that nobody talks about, is the price you have to pay to be successful. You can't just be successful without paying the price. It doesn't work. So the question to you, depending on your age, depending on where you're at in your life, are you willing to pay the price of success or not? And not is a very viable answer, by the way, just so you know. You know, some people are like, okay, I understand what it takes. I'm not willing to do it. That's absolutely perfectly fine. Absolutely respect that when people do that, right? Because they're like, I know that being successful, there's a certain price that comes with that. It's the price of feeling all those emotions and all those growth pains and all the uncertainty that comes along with it. And you're like, you know what? I don't really care that much about that. I don't really want to deal with that. I just want to just live a life and be happy with my friends, and that's that. I respect that, because that's clarity right there. That is clarity. That's, I know what I want and I know what I'm not willing to do. The only area where it becomes a problem is when this person right here, right? This person that doesn't want to pay the price of success, go through all those uncomfortable emotions, the uncertainty, the I'm not sure how much money I'm going to make, the stress, the anxiety, all this shit, right? This person doesn't want to do it, but he also still wants to be successful. That's where things get dicey. If you're over here and you don't want to do all this shit to be successful and you're this person, you need to accept not being successful is what it comes down to. If you want to be happy and let go of this shit, you need to accept not being successful. You got to come to acceptance with that, guys. And you have to be okay with that and be like, okay, you know what? This is never going to happen for me and I'm fine. I don't need that stuff. I'm good. And that's also a path too. This video is for the people that actually want to go down this route. I'm just letting you know, this is not going to be smooth sailing. This isn't going to be a walk in the park. This is not going to be a very easy thing. You're not going to just be making all this money and driving a Ferrari and all this, you know. There's a lot of emotional shit that comes up over here, okay? There's a lot of uncomfortable, there's sleepless nights, all that stuff is over here. Anybody that you know that's been successful has been through all that stuff. But is the path worth it? You have to decide on your own, for yourself, depending on your life situation, how old you are. If you're a young person watching this, I would tell you for sure, go this way. Maybe if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s and you're over here, you're just like, I don't want to do that stuff. And that's totally fine too. All right, guys. So this depends. This is a very personal thing. Okay. I'm not telling everybody you have to be successful. That's not the case for everybody. Some people don't care as much. Some people do care, like they want to be successful, but they don't want to deal with all this stuff. So this is a personal journey, guys. All right. Do what you will. I wish you the best of luck, regardless of which path you try to take in life. And if you guys have any comments, drop them down below. Subscribe to the channel. Good luck. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.